What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide. Welcome back to another movie review / recommendation. Today, we're going to go back to the year 1981 to take a look at a film directed by Abel Ferrara, Miss 45. Holy shit. Once again, much like Ebola Syndrome, this is a film I've put off for so many years. And, it's not that I didn't want to watch it. It's just I had other stuff that took precedent, you know what I mean, over that, and sort of like my habit of rewatching old favorites all the time. I feel like I'm not alone on that. I've probably watched certain Heavy Metal, the animated film, for one, dozens of times. Moby Dick from the 50s, dozens of times. Jaws, of course. Tons of Hellraiser, for fuck's sakes. There's so many movies that I've just watched to death, but it never gets old to me. I've quoted Kevin Eastman before, but he once referred to it as when you put in an old movie and you're drawing or working or whatever, you got it in the background. It's sort of like hanging out with an old friend, you know what I mean? Because you know what's going to happen, and it's pleasant. It's pleasant, you know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why I put off Miss 45 for so long. Now, I'm glad I did, because shout out to the homie Danny B from the Trash Dash. He's been talking about this movie for years. He's like, dude, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll watch it eventually. Holy fuck. Now, I think it's easy to compare this to a movie like I Spit on Your Grave or anything like that, because this, or Thriller. This is a rape revenge film, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people, understandably so. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation, you know what I mean? And to put it on film and to put it in people's faces and kind of not give you an option to shut off the screen can be horrifying to some people. I get that, but it just so happens that this chick gets revenge on one of her cocksucking motherfuckers, you know what I mean? But if you've never seen Miss 45, I highly recommend checking the flick out first before watching this review. It's going to be full of fucking spoilers. So another movie that you could kind of compare this to, or a good double feature with Miss 45, I think, would be Death Wish with Chucky B, man. Charles Bronson. I fucking love Death Wish 2. That's my favorite Death Wish. I've said that for a long time, and I would pair Death Wish 2 with this any day of the week. I hope to fuck I can get a copy somehow so I can show my dad this flick, because it's that I've been saying that for every review I've done in the last 3 of them, because they're all good. That's the thing. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I've sort of went through different phases with the channel, more specifically the movie reviews, because I'm kind of all over the place. I at one point, when I was doing the Tarantino films and all that, I was sort of just recording videos for every movie that I watched, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that, so I didn't do a review on a lot of stuff I've watched in the last couple of weeks. And the one that I will be doing a review for, but I want to rewatch it with my wife, is the new Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro film. I absolutely loved it, so spoiler alert on that. Now, getting into Miss 45, written and directed by Abel Ferrara, who of course did Driller Killer. He did Bad Lieutenant. He did, he did that one Body Snatcher flick, didn't he? I think, yeah, right. I think he did this one right here. Yeah. So this version of Body Snatchers, which this cover always scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid, because I had that on tape. I think my dad has it in his collection now. He's actually garnished a pretty good collection. He gave me all of his movies years ago, over 10 years ago, and then just over time he's buying his own movies from thrift stores and different places and shit, and he's got some good flicks. So we were there on the weekend, and we watched, me and my brother got there super early before everybody. We watched the fuck did we watch? I don't know, we watched a bunch. We watched 3 movies. I can't recall a single one of them because I was so fucking high the whole time, but regardless, Miss 45 starts off with a very horrifying situation where this girl, who's a seamstress, she works in the garment district of New York City, sewing some shit for some fucking company, rich cunts, you know what I mean? Goddamn rich cunts. I kill rich cunts. Put in the comment, if you know what that's from, put that in the comments. So she's walking home one day from work, and she gets fucking accosted by this asshole, actually played by Abel Ferrara, in a very New York stick-up kid robbery situation with this mask. Those masks, it's supposed to be either a woman's face or a man's face, but it's see-through. It's a see-through mask, but the eyebrows and the cheeks, there's a bit of embellishment with an airbrush. So he's wearing one of those masks that's cut off so you can see his mouth, and he assaults our lead character, and basically tells her, hey, I'm gonna be back, this isn't over, I'm gonna come do it again. And it's like, holy fuck, like that is scary, man. That, like, these are the type of movies that I think are the scariest, you know. Like, fuck, like, I love The Exorcist, but The Exorcist situation is not nearly as scary to me as what happens in Miss 45 to this chick, man. So she basically gets her shit in order and goes back to her apartment, where some other asshole, totally unrelated, has broken in and then also assaults her in her own apartment. But she ends up fucking taking him out. She has like a big, it's almost like a giant crystal, like a big rose quartz, but it's pure red. She knocks him in the head with that, and then she takes an iron and just bashes his fucking brains in. And then what does she do? She kills this dude, puts him in the fucking bathtub, cuts his ass up, and stores his body parts in the fridge. And then throughout the film, she's like taking the bags of body parts and just putting them in this garbage can here, puts them in the trunk of some guy's car, fucks off, puts them in an alleyway. It's crazy. But like back then, I feel like you could get away with so much shit in New York back in the day because it was so congested and so much crime happening, and just the cops, like, they don't, like, you know, if you call the cops here in this city, which is a city of like 400,000 people, they're not going to just show up like fucking a blink, like they're not just going to like, all right, you know, fucking take a bite out of the donut, like throw it out the window and toss the coffee and be on their merry way to come collect you because your fucking house got broken into or whatever it is. But she, like I said, cuts this guy's body up and disposes it, but she also discovers that he had dropped his gun. So now she has this 45 caliber fucking ACP, like just this 1911 style looking gun. And she takes it out and much like Charles Bronson, goes out and takes out motherfuckers. But she doesn't always kill what I consider to be like the biggest pieces of shit. Like the one guy, me and Danny B were talking about this, and he was like, yeah, the one guy looks like Nick Cage. And like the Nick Cage guy might have been a piece of shit, but he didn't deserve to be fucking shot dead in the street like that. Like he's a scumbag, you know what I mean? But he's not a piece of shit. So she kills a bunch of different assholes on the street. At one point she goes to this park. I don't know why, but I think the park was the park they used in Home Alone, like when he's escaping the wet bandits in that New York City park. I guess it's Central Park, I don't know, but like all these assholes circle her. One guy's got nunchucks, and of course she just pulls out the 4.5 and just, you know, licks them all down. It's awesome. One of my favorite parts, and me and the trash were talking about this earlier, like there's a scene where like she meets this guy, and they end up talking on this park bench, and he's telling this fucked up story about how like he suspected his wife of cheating, and he followed her one day and found out that she was cheating on him with a woman, and he went home and he killed the cat. And then like as he's saying this story, she pulls out the fucking gun, puts it to his head, pulls the trigger, but it doesn't go off, and then he grabs the gun and he fucking shoots himself in the head. It's insane. And one thing about this, like, she goes through so much ammunition. I just wish there had been a shot of her with like a box of fresh ammo, you know, because like at one point it shows her like loading a magazine, and she's like kissing each round, and it's like I don't know. I wish that there had been a scene of her like going, because this chick's mute. I don't know if I mentioned that, she can't talk. I wish she had went to a gun store and pulled like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, like fucking plasma phaser rifle with a fucking 30-watt range. And Dick Miller's like, we don't know, just what you see, pal. Like, that's the thing about like movies from the 80s in the 70s, but like the 80s, like just like a guy like Dick Miller, like to say a line like, hey, just what you see, pal, like disregarding this totally fucking like sci-fi weapon that Buddy's just mentioned. And I love it, man. Like the more I watch sort of like knock movies off my watch pile, I'm having more and more fun. You know, Ebola Syndrome, Miss 45, like what's next, dude? I actually started the film City on Fire, starring Chow Yun-fat, but once I started it, I recognized I'd seen that film. Like the opening shot is like this guy that's a cop calling in on these guys, and some of his like gang members find him and they stab the shit out of him, and it's this whole thing. But as soon as I seen that, I was like, okay, I know this film. So I watched a little bit of it, and that was about it, because, you know, I am having a Chow Yun-fat craving, but I want to reserve that for The Killer and Hard Boiled, of course, and just go nuts, do a double feature one day. I'd love for my wife to watch those movies, but she's seen The Killer, but like I know it's been a long time, but like and I've said this to her, and she said that she's been open to it, like sort of doing like an audio podcast, like reviewing films and stuff, because I think it would be fun to get like her perspective, like not being like a total like exploitation junkie. Like her knowledge of exploitation films is through me. You know, she had seen a lot of really good movies before I met her, and proved it with her knowledge and stuff, which is awesome. But like, I don't think she ever seen Hellraiser before she seen. I know that's not an exploitation flick, but there's a gang of movies. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. But back to Miss 45. I'm all over the place. This is not a movie I would show my wife at all. Like, I'd have to skip through like the first like 20 minutes of this film, like get past all that like fucking rape shit and all that, because it's not comfortable for people to watch. Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, even my comic Filthy Ralph, like you know, the first comic, it mentions the dreaded rape, and I don't regret making that comic, but like I feel like that, like the issue 1 of Filthy Ralph is sort of like, I'm not putting it back in print, you know what I mean? Like, it's very rough and crude, you know what I mean? I want to do a video showcasing like the progression of art and like comparing your art to your own art, not comparing it to someone else's. Like I've said this before, like I don't compare my stuff to Sawblade. I compare myself to myself, because that's where you can find the improvement. And when I look at, the reason I mentioned Sawblade is because I was just talking to him, and I did this piece right here of Filthy Ralph as a hot dog vendor with his character Terror Rat, which is going to Kickstarter pretty soon, so join the fucking pre-launch. But I keep getting fucking distracted. Back to Miss 45. So there's this one dude that's like in a diner when our main girl's like having lunch with her friends from work. This guy comes up. He's a real creepy fuck, and our main chick stays back and sort of pays her bill and all that. And this guy follows her and basically coerces her to come to his studio because he's a photographer and he takes photos. Are you a model? Yeah. And he takes her up to this really nice photography studio, and that's where she just blows him away. It's crazy. It's awesome. Of course, the end of this film is fantastic. She dresses up as a nun. Like, that's, for some reason, like, I knew about this film, and like I had the image of her dressed as a nun. So I'm like, is this chick gonna be a nun the whole film? But no, that doesn't come till much later in the flick. But she dresses up as a nun for a Halloween party, goes to this Halloween party, and just kills a bunch of innocent people. It's fucking crazy, and I highly recommend this film. Again, double feature this with Death Wish 2, or even Death Wish 1. Fuck it, man. I love Death Wish 1 as well, but Death Wish 2, I like them in that. I like them in this order: 2, 1, 3, and then 4 and 5. I've watched the least, even though those were the ones that they used to play the most on TV back in the day. And I for a long time I got this one film confused with being a Death Wish film. It might have been called Messenger of Death. I could be wrong on that. And there's another film where Bronson actually does kill Jeff Goldblum, and I had that mixed up in my head for years too when I was younger, so go figure. Anyways, I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments, and with that being said,